friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Wise. Today we are looking at the next topic, that is opposite side castling. So we are going to learn one of the technique which is used while doing opposite side castling. As I have written here, it is the pawn storm. We want to use the pawns to attack the opponent's pieces. Let's get started with the game. So e4, g6, d4, bg7, knight c3. So this is the starting point of the modern defense. The game in fact later on turns or transposes into the Pirc defense. After the move d6, black always plays d6 before playing the knight to f6. Otherwise e5 pawn attacks the knight. So d6. Okay. So if you want to know more about the opening Pirc modern defense, you can check out my lesson 73 where I have covered this opening for white. Today we are going to continue this as an exercise for attacking the opposite side castle also, and it's a line against the Pirc defense also. So it can be treated as a continuation of that chapter. So now, as I explained, black plays nf6 here. Black wants to play nf6 here. So white goes bishop e3. White's idea is simple. He wants to play the queen to d2, do long castle, trade this bishop and use the h pawn, h4, h5 and open the rook's file. So black is going to castle short and white is going to castle long. So black goes nf6 instantly. Idea knight g4 to take this bishop. White plays f3. Now black goes castle. Queen d2. Now white is all set to play the move long castle. So black generally does what is, he tries to attack the center. That is the best strategy when the opponent is going to attack on the side. So one of the best ways is to break the center. If the center is blocked, then the opponent also starts to attack with the pawns. So let's see in today's game what black did. Black plays nd7. He does this usually to play the move e5. So after e5 he wants to trade in the center and make files for his pieces. So now castle. e5 will also help to open this diagonal with the move ed4. The bishop's diagonal will be opened. Now black has to play very carefully. If he plays c6 instantly, idea to go b5 or queen a5 and bring the pieces towards the king. Right now there is an instant tactics, e5, d into e5, d into e5, and now it looks like knight can take the pawn, but knight e5 is blunder because of queen into d8. And after q d8, rook d8, rook d8 check, it's game over. Bishop f8 forced and then bishop comes to h6. So white has already won the rook over here. So knight e5 was not possible. I played the move e5, which stops white's e5 also, and he wants to open the center as I told you. So here white could have done d5, which would have closed the file. Then there will be a fierce fight. Black can go a6, b5. Black can go knight b6, try to play c6. These are some of his ideas. That is also possible. d5 is an interesting try, but white thought that he will get on with his own attack fast and not waste time doing things in the center. So white played the move g4. Very much possible is h4, which can get us to same position. To h5, white gives the pawn with g4, hg and then plays h5. That is also an interesting idea. Here white went g4 first, which will make h5 more difficult. So after gh, white will get the open file over there. So black went for c6. Now he is trying to play the queen to a5. White goes h4. White's plan is very simple. Bishop will come to h6. Pawn will go to h5. Will trade on g6 and g7, and then the queen will launch itself to the h6 square. Okay. So now there are various ideas. Black plays the move queen a5. So queen a5 immediately intends to attack on the a file. Black wants to go b5, b4, knight will move, and then a2 will be taken. So this is one of the main ways for black to play. So now white plays the move h5. So white is playing very aggressively here. He doesn't want to waste any move. At this point, black could have played the move b5. After b5, very interesting is hg. And now to b4, knight comes to b1 And if we take fg, then bishop c4 check can be very strong. And after hg, white can just play a3 when the a3 pawn cannot be taken because of the pin. So after h5, black goes for the move ed4. So ed4 will now force white to take with the bishop, and bishop cannot reach the h6 square directly. Note that queen into d4 can allow moves like knight d5, which will instantly win. See, bishop attacks the queen, knight cannot be taken with the queen, and then next move knight into c3, and the whole white king side will be open. After ed, bd4 is forced, and now white is all set to attack on the king side. Now here black would have tried the move b5, but even after b5, we see that hg gives very good position. Another trap which white can have in mind here is the move kb1 to b5. kb1 is often played, and it threatens to take the knight to d5 because of this discovered attack. But usually that is done after the move hg, and now kb1 very strong, because the knight will move to d5 attacking the queen. If queen takes d2, then knight e7 checkmate because the rook is open. So that can be a good trap by white in that position. Okay, let's go back to the game. Black plays knight e5, trying to cover the diagonal, and the knight is also eyeing the f3 and c4 squares. White went h into g6. Now it was best to play hg. After hg, still white has the strong idea which we discussed just now, kb1, idea knight d5. Queen attacks the queen, and the knight, this knight once destroyed, then queen h2 will allow mate from the h7 square. So this would have been still good for white. In the game, after h into g6, black played fg6, thinking that the h file will remain closed. But from here white got a forced win. Let's see how. Bishop into e5. Now the last chance was to play queen into e5 and remain pawn down. Queen e5, queen d6, rook d6. And at least the queens are traded. There won't be any dangerous attack on the black king. But black saved the pawn by playing d5, and now white's pieces started attacking very quickly. bc4 check, forcing king h8. And now this plan is very interesting. See, the bishop guards the g8 square. All white wants is opening of the h file. So the h7 square is weak, and now white has a very strong move, knight h3. See, finally the last piece comes out, and it is heading to the g5 square, from where a lot of sacrifices are going to happen on the h7 square. And this position is already winning for white. Let's see. Black tried, he played b5, attacking the bishop. So immediate knight g5 might allow bc4. So now bishop b3. Having this bishop is very important. Now here after b4, white wins in a stunning way. Knight g5, b into c3, and now white completely ignores this side. He goes rook into h7 check, sacrificing another rook, knight h7, and now the good move qh2. Now see, there is no defense to the knight on h7, and next move rook into a queen into h7 would be checkmate. After cb2, king comes to b1, and white wins the game. So black played queen to c7, trying to get the queen to the defense of the h7 pawn. So in many variations, when the bishop will have moved to h6, the queen can support the h7 pawn. Now white played ng5 as per his idea. First, let's see what is the threat now. Suppose rook h7, then knight takes h7, and here instead of qh2, white can go rook h1. And now we see that it's forced to play bishop f6. And after bishop f6, we can just take on h7 with the knight over here. Even rook h7 is sufficient. But knight h7, queen h7, rook h7 check, king h7. This position will also win for white, because of the simple fact that the white pieces, see, there is, for queen there are two rooks in the position, but the white pieces are very active. So there can be this move queen d6 attacking both, and also the c6 pawn. So this position is definitely winning for white. After h5, white simply wins. After g into h5, gh5, now again comes the sacrifice, rook h5 check, knight h5, and rook h1. Now again we see there is almost no defense possible to the knight. So after some move like bh6, white can just play rook h5 and the position is winning. There is a simple threat of knight f7 check and queen takes the bishop with a check and the white position is winning. C is just exchanged down. There is already, we can see, 1 pawn for the exchange and the black king is totally exposed. So this is a winning position for white. Finally we go back to the game now. So black played h6 in the game. It looks like the h6 square is well guarded, okay, but white has a brilliant tactics here. Rook takes h6 check. See, the queen is doing indirect attack on the h6 square. So bishop h6 forced, and now comes the move knight f7. So the knight acts as an interfering piece between this line of defense. So queen cannot take because of the bishop. So rook takes forced. So this position we saw that interference and clearance both took place. Knight g5 cleared the place by going to f7 for the queen and interfered in the line of the opponent's queen. So queen h6 check. Now king goes to g8. Then we can take queen into g6 also, which is instantly winning. Queen g6, king f8, and see rook d8 check. Queen takes d8, then f7 will be taken for free and it's winning. So only one, then queen f8 check, knight g8, and then queen g8 checkmates. So after knight h7 comes bishop into f7, and now black realized that if he takes queen into f7, it wins instantly. After rook d8 check, queen f8, then rook f8 mates. So queen g8, then rook g8, kg8, queen g6 check, and white wins the game. And also we can see there is threat of bishop g6 in the position. So bishop g4. Now opening the line for the rook so that rook d8 is not possible. Then comes bishop g6, and now we see that the position is totally losing, because if this bishop moves away to e6, then rook comes to h1, and after rook h1 it's not possible to defend the h7 knight properly. So black played bishop f3, stopping rook to coming to h1, and now rook f1. And now we see that it's game over, because problem is if rook comes to f8 to support f3, then bishop g6 followed by queen f8 wins. Black has to move the bishop, but if he moves the bishop, then rook f7 wins on the spot. Queen into f7 forced, otherwise qh7 is made. So this is where black resigned in the game. Okay, and we saw how the attack was very strong, and what is actually pawn strong we come to know from this game. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.